Atkins and pals, and there's also therapy too.
Okay, hi everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. We are on Flu Season 2, another name we've used before. So exciting. We had Galentine's Day, and now circling back to Flu Season 2. So I did want to go ahead and let you know that we're following up with Steve Tom, who plays the Principal Russell character in Prom, which was our last episode, and Steve didn't get a chance to send in his voice memos last week, so let's go ahead and listen to them now. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for doing this. I know it was kind of new for you to send in voice memos, so I really appreciate the back and forth. He was so sweet to try to get these in for us, and it's just going to make our podcast so much better. I can feel it already. Okay, here we go. Here's the first one.
Hi, this is Steve Tom, Principal Russell. Question number 1, which has to do with how I got my job on Parks and whether or not I remember anything outstanding about the audition. The first thing I want to do is thank you so much for inviting me to be part of the podcast here today. It was a real surprise when my agent forwarded your invitation to me, and I just couldn't wait to say yes. I'd love to. What do I remember about the audition? Really, nothing stood out. It was just kind of a run-of-the-mill audition. I had auditioned for the casting director, Dorian Frankel, before, and worked on a show called Major Crimes, which was kind of a crime/courtroom procedural drama. Wound up hanging out there for 4 or 5 seasons. And then came Parks and Rec, and then after Parks and Rec, there was an ABC sitcom called Single Parents, which was just wonderful. But wouldn't you know it, we had just completed our 2nd season, and we're waiting to be picked up for a 3rd when the pandemic showed up, and that kind of shut down a lot of people, including Single Parents. Anyway, but I had interviewed with, or I had auditioned with Dorian before, and I remember I had a really good feeling about how the audition went and about my potential chances of being hired. And wouldn't you know, that afternoon or the next day when the call came in from casting that they would like to invite me to play Principal Russell on the Prom episode of Parks and Recreation, I was over the moon. Just great. I mean, who wouldn't want to go to work and work all day with Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman and Avery Plaza and Chris Pratt and a fantastic tech crew. Director Ken Whittingham was wonderful. It was just great. It was just great. And that's what happened at the audition.
Yay, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, yeah. Ugh, COVID ruined so many things. So I am very glad that you got to do, at least a little bit. Anyways, yeah, so I love that you've auditioned for them before. I think that's really, pertinent information because so many people are remembered through the casting office. So yeah, awesome. Love that. Okay, next one.
I actually had 2 days on set. I had 2 shooting days, basically because the school where we shot the Prom wasn't available on one of the days for which I was booked. So we had to shoot some other stuff on that day. And then the next day, I think it was, we shot the actual prom scenes. The cast and the crew were so warm and welcoming. It was a pleasure to show up there, and I knew we were going to have a good time. The second I walked in, I knew we were going to have a great time. I'm pretty sure we were at a high school or a middle school for the prom scenes, and the set decoration was unbelievably wonderful. I think the gym was decked out in a under the sea theme for the prom. Wasn't that everybody's prom's theme? Under the sea, I think it was in real life. Yeah, it was wonderful, and I just couldn't have been more excited to be there.
Yay! Oh my gosh. Yeah. So we talked about this in the episode of the review of Prom, that their theme was actually Into the Woods, technically, because it was the theater department's last play. So they could just reuse the decoration, if you will. But no, this is exactly what we talked about as well, which is why I'm harping on it, I guess, because we said the same thing, Steve, that everybody's prom theme was pretty much this like magical fairy tale, under the sea kind of vibe, into the woods, very magic. And that's, with the florals and the beautiful landscape and the set decoration of, balloons in the midst of these like beautiful magical trees. And so, yes, love that very much. And yeah, you're right. The set decoration really was great. It was fantastic. Yeah, we talked about in your episode that we also found out that it was shot at a middle school. So yeah, we really love that. And then 2 days shooting. That's a really interesting little tidbit. I do remember Reese Kirk, who played Donna's quote bitch boy, his words, also did 2 days of shooting. But his was because they needed to do the slow dance with Retta, which I don't remember actually seeing. So I wonder if they cut that. But anyhow, that makes sense though for Principal Russell's character, because they do have that scene where that we're in his office. He's saying that he's really disappointed in Leslie, and that could have been the scene or the day that the middle school was not available. So definitely makes sense. I love that little behind the scenes tidbit. Love that. Thank you.
We actually we shot, I think, 4 or 5 takes in the principal's office between Ron and Leslie and Principal Russell, strictly on script. We didn't deviate from the script at all. But then Ken Whittingham, our director, after that said, hey, why don't you guys just kind of go crazy and riff a little bit? And so we did that. But I don't think any of it actually wound up in the final edit of the episode, because we were spending a lot of time laughing as we were doing that. So I don't think that worked out. But yeah, we did riff a little bit. It was fun. And I remember my favorite part of the scene in the principal's office was when Principal Russell's looked at Leslie Knope and with a very stern expression on his face and said, "Leslie, I'm very disappointed in you." And she said, "Oh, no, Principal Russell, please don't be disappointed in me, please." Because apparently during her high school years, Leslie Knope at Pawnee High spent her entire high school career desperately trying not to be disappointing to Principal Russell. That was one of my favorites right there.
Yay! Yes, I love hearing that Ken, the director who we love, he's the one that I always mention whenever he comes up, that he's done literally every TV show or directed every TV show that we're obsessed with. You know what I mean? He's done so much. But yeah, not every director, even though Parks and Rec is very free-flowing and improv heavy, not every director asks the guest stars or asks people to do fun runs / improv. So that's really cool to know that Ken did. Awesome. Love that. Yay. And yes, oh my gosh, Leslie being sad that she disappointed the principal is always hilarious. Okay, this is our final voice memo.
I've spent a little bit of time talking about working with Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman, and what a great time we had together. But the people that I didn't mention, even more so maybe, Chris Pratt and Aubrey Plaza, who play Andy and April. What a thrill! What a treat it was. I mean, who wouldn't want to go to work with these people every day? Unfortunately, I didn't go to work with them every day, but I sure had a good time with the time that I did spend with them. And thank you again for having me on the podcast. I couldn't have had a better time. Thank you so much. And hopefully we shall meet again. Thanks.
Yay. Thank you so much, Steve, for those. That's awesome. I love it so much. I will post his IMDb and everything in the show notes so you guys can follow him if he has any upcoming things that he is working on. But yes, we love hearing those behind the scenes from the principal himself, you guys. You heard it here first. He is amazing. And yeah, who wouldn't want to have a great time as a co-star, especially if you're not sure like what you're going to get? I mean, you just don't know when you go on set how good of a day it's going to be, how fun it's going to be. And so to have that experience of it being really fun and energetic and all of the people really nice and the directors asking you to play around, like, what a dream. What a dream. Well, thank you so much, Steve, again. I really appreciate it. Oh, my gosh. All right. Well, let us get into – that was the only recap I had from our last episode. So let's go ahead and get into Season 6, Episode 19, Flu Season 2. Like I said, another name that we've used before. We had Galentine's Day before, and now we're circling back to Flu Season 2 because we had a Flu Season regular. This was directed by our own Nick Offerman. Oh my gosh, how exciting. He did direct before. So this is his second time directing for Parks, so that's very exciting. This was written by Megan Amram and Dave King, who we've seen many a time in our tenure at Parks and Rec. Just a reminder, Megan is a writer of so many things, and she's also the girlfriend in the couple that wants to buy Ron's cabin. And April is like, talking about the death cap guy, Ben Gibbard, to them, and they're freaking out. So that's Megan, but she's written so much on Parks and so many other things, in the Sherverse especially. And same with the next writer, Dave King. He is the rabbi that marries Craig and Typhoon. Spoiler alert. Or actually, I'm not sure if he's the rabbi, actually. But regardless, he's in one of the futuristic episodes, and we have seen him as an actor like make a little cameo in the deleted scenes, which I believe I played during the April adoption, the pet adoption scene. He's one of the ones that kind of like is a weirdo that comes to look at the cats and dogs. But anyhow, he is, a writer, producer on Parks, and they've contributed so greatly to the show. So I'm really glad that we're getting this team back. Flu season 2, I kind of was expecting it to be more about flu season, but I feel like this episode is the one I primarily think of as the winery episode. So a part of me feels like I would have called it the winery episode in my head. But Leslie does get the flu. What we think might be the flu, but it's actually a surprise. However, Larry, Jerry, and potentially Andy, he doesn't show it here, but he is sneezing a lot, so he might be sick too. All right, so Maddie's summary is here. As you can tell, she is not with me today, but here we go.
Okay, flu season 2, which is great that they leaned into doing a second part of flu season, because flu season 1, which is not called 1 because it's the first one, is one of my favorite episodes and will always be one of my favorite episodes. Here's my summary. Flu season strikes again. Leslie and Andy work on locking down a heavy hitter for their Unity concert. The rest of the Parks gang helps Tom pick a sommelier for his new restaurant. Ben spirals. Ben spirals on blueberry wine, to be more specific, which is one of my favorite things as well. I feel like Ben is the person who holds himself together all the time for everyone else, especially for Leslie. And so for him to get this moment where Ron's watching out for him, he's being like this father figure while Ben's struggling with his relationship with his actual father. And as he spirals with a blue mouth, I just love this. I love that he gets this moment to have his emotions and be just authentically himself and process how he needs to process. And when Leslie calls him with the news, he's like ready to step into what he needs to step into, because he's had this whole episode to vent and get some support from Ron. So I just think such a beautiful full circle. I love that they used flu season to kind of mask where the, what was going on with Leslie. It makes me so excited that we're getting to this point where Leslie is going to be pregnant and expecting, and all the excitement that comes along with that, and all the bumps and turns that it takes for Leslie and Ben. I love the scene where she's getting the pregnancy test. Boom, there it is. Amazing name for a pregnancy test. We've talked about that. I absolutely love that Andy brings this giant gummy bear filled with other gummy bears, and he says, "This counts as one." Ivan and I quote that all the time, so that's one of my favorite lines of the episode. Chip is, I cannot stand him and I hate him, and yeah, that's all I have to say about that, because I just literally hate him. But I love that we're seeing kind of this backstory on the whole Unity concert and it all coming together. I love that it's kind of that reminiscent of we're closing a chapter for Leslie, because we begin with her doing the Harvest Festival, and we're ending with her putting together this Unity concert, which is, like a next level up. So yeah, I love this episode. I'm sorry I'm not there to review it with you guys, but I know that Holly will do a great job, as she always does.
That is Flu Season 2. Let's get started. All right, we start this episode with the Unity Concert auditions. This was absolutely cut from the original airing. We've got Martin back, which is our Wood-Eye guy. He is played by Jim Meskimen, and we actually interviewed him a while back. I'll put his interview in the show notes so you guys can check him out. His whole thing is impressions. He has a YouTube channel. He has a big following there, and they really utilized his gifts here. I feel like they might have had that in the audition. I think we talked about that where he, because that was primarily what he was doing. When he was doing all the speeches as the MC for a lot of events. Like I said, I call him Wood-Eye Guy because it was at Ron's event that he wins for best chair. And he's like, Wood-Eye, and holds up a wooden letter I. Which I know I didn't need to explain that, but I did. So anyhow, love that we're seeing this actually, because like I said, this was cut. The Peacock, if you're watching it on Peacock, it's on there now. But before that, it was not. This was in the director's cut on the DVDs. I love that Andy doesn't know who any of the people are that he's doing the impressions of. Like, those people aren't real, probably, to him. And I love that they're having a local talent stage. I think this is such a great idea. And I also think that it would have been so cool to know that they're doing that, because I think because this was cut, we didn't know that. The audience didn't know that they were doing a local talent stage. And I think that is really cool. What a fantastic idea for a small town. Like, someone who is maybe, not even out there, like, talented, or we don't know that they have talents or whatever. And then they can show their talents. Or maybe there's a local superstar, like our Star Spangled Banner singer. Is, she could be the local talent stage, Pawnee's most bookable talent. Love that so much. So just shouts to all the people that were in this talent portion. I mean, all of these people that we've got jugglers, a contortionist is in Pawnee. Maybe they were from Eagleton originally. Who knows? I definitely related to Leslie's moment about checking things off her task list. Oh my gosh. I literally just spoke to my therapist about this in my last session. Like, I get such a high from checking things off my list, and that's kind of like all I focus on. I don't think about the actual, like, being present while I'm doing it. So, I mean, that's neither here nor there, but I think that's really interesting. And sometimes I feel like Leslie and I are similar in the sense where we want a reward for checking something off of our to-do list. But at the same time, we also get such an adrenaline rush from just checking it off, and, at the end of the day. I live for the check marks too. I personally love crossing it off. She does a check mark, but I like crossing the whole thing off. It's very satisfying. Perd writes a slam poem. Oh dear. This is a funny joke, though, kind of, that Perd just speaks like this regularly in his cadence, I think. So that's really funny. They also have a slam poem joke, like a while back. I thought that was really funny. Leslie's like, everything can be slam poetry if you say it in a way, blah, blah, blah. It's nonsense. That's what she says. So I think it's funny that they're bringing that joke back. Somebody in the writer's room isn't a huge fan of slam poetry, probably. I could be a fan, though. There are things that come up on TikTok that are slam poets, and I think it's really interesting. So it depends on the content, I guess. Okay, so now Andy is on the phone. I'm really proud of him for being a professional, by the way. I don't feel like we've seen this a ton of him, apart from the Unity concert, I suppose. And maybe the possum could be considered professional. But when he catches the possum. But I do feel like it's really interesting to see Andy in this setting here. He is making notes. He's speaking very succinctly and efficiently, and saying, I think we can make that happen. So I really like that the Unity concert is bringing that out in him. And side note, this is where the show typically would have started in the original air, Andy being on the phone. And he starts sneezing like crazy, and this is hilarious. The way he sneezes, just one right after the other, and it's like huge movements as he's sneezing. Leslie is like, I cannot get sick. I have too much work to do, because again, we are in flu season. And saying that you have too much work to do and you cannot get sick is basically the universe, like telling the universe to make you sick, because it's just twisted that way. I feel like you only get sick when you have 9,000 things to do, the universe is telling you have to slow down. But oh my God, ew, the montage of the sickness spreading because of the water fountain drinking habits and sneezing on the donut, but then still eating it, which is freaking hilarious, by the way. It was so well done. Those actors were hilarious. Just so nonchalant about the whole thing. They didn't care. It's totally normal part of their life. Pawnee, what the heck? They used to crown a Miss Influenza every year. I don't remember that part. Maybe this part was in the original air and I just forgot about it, but that is crazy. Oh my gosh. Wild that was like accepted and you wanted to be Miss Influenza probably. People were probably gunning for it. To that note, Larry is in his little quarantine tent thing, which is hilarious because they did not let him go home, which is so wild to me. They're just keeping him in this little tent thing, which maybe they rented from Rent-A-Tent tents. I bet they have quarantine tents. And I just think it's so funny to me that he just is stuck in this little box. But oh my gosh, I have been waiting for Chip McCapp. Chip McCapp, the country singer who is so popular in Indiana. He's going to be the headliner. He's a 17-year-old country singer. They are huge chipmunks, and that's what they call the fans. Oh my gosh, we've been waiting. This is such a good part of Parks and Rec lore. I love this. And I love that Burnham plays Chip McCapp. And oh my gosh, dear God, he is so talented, so funny. He has a whole section in his stand-up, one of his stand-up specials where he absolutely makes fun of country singers pandering to, the country music audience, which I definitely think is true. Not all country music, don't get it twisted. I do love country music, Americana, all of that, but it's so good with especially radio country. Sometimes it's just very beers and trucks, the end. You know what I mean? And then the troops. And something on IMDb did say that after 9/11, a lot of country singers did this kind of tactic, if you will, where they would start singing about, another topic and then immediately in the same song, in the same sentence that doesn't even have anything to do with it, go into God Save the Troops, essentially. So, I mean, I don't know if that's actually true, but I can absolutely I could see how it is if it is. I'm just here to present the information, okay? And you guys can make your research too. Although I do research a lot of it. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, moving on. Let's see. Oh, I did want to mention his special Outside, which came out during COVID, is so good. You guys have to watch it. It is very deep and in a lot of ways existential and profound. So there are moments where you might feel intensely. You just might feel intensely. So please watch it. It's so good. I love it so much. Okay. Moving on. I love this Leslie-Andy dynamic, by the way, so much. It's so cute, and I love seeing them work together because I don't think we've really seen them be in the same room this long, or, I know Andy has been kind of Leslie's assistant for a long time, especially that was when she was basically city councilor and needed help running her life. But I don't think we've seen it to this extent. So that's really nice to see. Oh my gosh, the song from Chip McCapp is beautiful, like my mom, parentheses, support the troops. It's so good. After they say play it again, that's where the intro, I believe, usually comes in. Whereas in the Peacock version, it was after the talent show auditions. Oh my God, I just had written, she don't care about no she don't care about no fancy trends. She's just a mom from old South Bend. Get home safe, boys. I just love the commentary on the two topics that have nothing to do with each other. Oh my gosh. There is a deleted scene here that I must play after. It was in the gag reel, so I don't know if they were ever gonna air it or if it was actually a gag, meaning that it was a blooper. But I must play this for you. One moment.
Well, she don't care about no fancy trend. Country superstar and YouTube sensation Chip McCapp lays down his first collection of soulful country hits, featuring such favorites as Cute Like My Mom, Sturdy Like My Pickup. I got my pickup truck, driving really fast, yellow ribbon on my bumper, Jesus on the dash. America Mom, Pickup, Mom, America. And the smash hits, Beautiful Like My Mom, Support the Troops. Support the troops. Chip McCapp's greatest hits now available.
I just love the deleted scene of Mom. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so, so good. And then Jesus on the dash. Oh my gosh, it's just, I love that. So, had to play that for you. So now in Ben's office, Tom is telling Donna and April that they're going to a winery. Apparently, Tom is scouting for new sommeliers at a local vineyard for his new restaurant, Tom's Bistro, and he wants to get the best person. Craig says he wants to come, and he studied botany. So I guess that has to do with wineries because of the vineyard and growing grapes and all that kind of stuff. And then Ron and Ben say they'll tag along as well. And now we got the whole gang going. And Ben is like, I got a bunch of grandpas. Or Tom says that, sorry. So Andy's wish list for the Unity concert was Bob Dylan's Friends, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, and Land Ho, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I love that it's just Bob Dylan's Friends, not Bob Dylan. But we get a call that Chip McCapp has to drop out, which is very sad and very urgent, if you will. And his manager called and said that he can't come. And now Leslie is sick and is throwing up. And oh my gosh, she has the flu. I love Larry's cringe face. Like, oh no, she's got it. Well, what we think she has anyway. So now we meet Xander, who is a sommelier contestant. Xander Trufant. Oh my gosh, here we go with the names. It almost sounds like a truffle, which is supposed to be fancy. So Xander Trufant. Oh my gosh, very kind of like French too, or fancy European names. So now we get to the winery, and this is filmed at Agua Dulce Winery, located in Santa Clarita, California. This 90-acre property is a popular filming destination for Hollywood productions, appearing in various shows, and offers tours, tastings, and events. It's about 45 minutes away from LA / the studio that they usually film, which is CBS Radford in Studio City. So we've got the location is 9600 Sierra Highway in Agua Dulce, California, which is in the Santa Clarita area. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm going to say Agua Dulce. Yeah, that makes sense. Wouldn't that be like Sweetwater? Something like that? Dulce? Does Dulce mean sweet? Shoot, I'm so sorry. Let's look that up and see if I'm wrong. Dulce means sweet. Oh my God. See? And then agua means water. So sweet water. Oh my gosh. I'm so smart. Okay. Anyway, moving on. So it's also been used for Westworld, NCIS LA, and Bones. So it's definitely a prominent filming area for LA productions. So Xander says that as he gets ready for the competition, he pours saline down his nasal passageways to clear the mucus from his smell centers. Yikes. Gross. But also very intense and committed, passionate. So Xander is played by Shel Rastin, which I think is really funny. His first name is Shel, S-H-E-L. Not funny that that's his name, but that could absolutely be a park's name, if we're honest. Shel Rastin. I mean, this guy was totally fitting the part for this. He's been in CSI Miami, a bunch of short films, a TV series called Big Top last year. I follow him on Instagram, and he plays guitar a lot. He's very, like, hippie vibes, which I don't mean in an offensive way. I don't think that's a bad thing. I thought it was really interesting and cool. So yeah, follow him. Totally. Shel Rastin. Well done also on the acting for this. I mean, this was exactly what the role called for. Just really pretentious, but you don't think that you're pretentious, but you're really good at what you do, and to have Tom really just be seeking out the cool guy. Like, so cool, so suave. I think it was really well done. So Donna spots April $200 to be certified / get drunk with these people. Go Donna, having just $200 cash in your wallet. This lady who takes April's name is so funny. She's like the Wine Academy in Bordeaux. Oh my gosh. So this actor is named Rebecca Klingler, and her character name is Janisha Wellmark, which I love that. That must have cleared at some point. I don't know. But I just love the idea that April's just randomly coming up with this name of the Wine Academy. Sure? ? And her character, Rebecca's character, is just like, of course, yes, duh. Oh my gosh, let me change my whole attitude about you because you went to this academy. Side note, I read that she graduated from the University of Evansville in Indiana, which is exciting. So you're in the Indiana world of parks. She sent in some super great voice memos, so we're going to take a listen to those in a moment. But I also wanted to mention that she has done a lot of things: podcasts, short films, movies, a lot of theater, which looks super great. I also see that she has a picture with her and Betty White on the show Hot in Cleveland, which is very exciting and super cute. So let's take take a listen to her voice memos. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sending those in.
Hello, Holly and Maddie. This is Rebecca Klingler. Thank you so much for your invitation. Holly, I love your closing. Doing my best. Wouldn't it be nice if everyone would do their best? And that's what I'm going to do. I won't be offended at all if you decide not to use this. It may not be as lighthearted as you would like, but as I said, I'll do my best. So here we go.
Oh my gosh, that's really nice. Yes, I sign my emails doing my best. That's what she's meaning. Also, I think I said Rebecca Klinger. I'm sorry. It's Rebecca Klingler. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. I'm not even editing that out because we all make mistakes and I really was doing my best. So Rebecca Klingler, so sorry. And I'm going to use these. I know I will. So, okay, let's go to how you got the role on Parks.
I played Janicia Wellmark in season 6, episode 19 of Parks and Recreation. I played the gatekeeper at the winery. How did I get my job on Parks? Well, my agent submitted me and I was called in to audition, and fortunately the casting office was within walking distance of my place. I didn't walk because I wanted to wear heels. But it's a great casting office. I don't know if they're still using that building, actually. It looks like it's about to be demolished, but I love this building on the corner of Wilshire and La Brea. There used to be a lot of casting offices there. It was Dorian Frankel's office, and I believe it was her assistant, Melise Gunzenhauser, fellow German, who was in the office. I read with her. I think there were maybe 1 or 2 other women in that office. I love it because it's, I think it was maybe built in the 20s or 30s, and it just has this great old Hollywood vibe to it. Anyway, I had a pretty good idea of the character when I read my, 1 or 2 lines. I don't know why I get cast in these sort of snooty characters. I don't think that's who I am, but for some reason I get a good handle on them, and I guess she liked it too, because she cast me.
Yay, I love that. Oh my gosh, isn't that so funny? You're like, wait, why am I getting cast as all the mean people or whatever? And you're like, maybe it's just a repressed moment. But that's honestly why it's so fun to play these people sometimes, because you're like, I would love to just say what I feel and be the weirdo. Or sometimes you really have just seen those people and you have such experience with them because they've treated you that way. So now you can just emulate them, if you will. But either way, I can tell that you're not as snooty. And so I love to hear that that was funny to you as well.
We shot that episode at an actual winery, and I don't remember exactly where it was, but I just know it was really far away, and it was a beautiful drive. It could have been as far away as Ojai, because it feels like it was an hour and a half maybe to get there. In fact, I think I got lost coming back, but luckily it was a short enough day that it was still light out, so I just got to enjoy the beautiful drive. This is going to sound blasphemous on this podcast, but until I had that audition, I had never actually seen Parks and Rec. I know that's awful, but I, like a lot of actors, was really busy at that time. I was busy with acting class, and I was teaching kids acting and teaching yoga. Like a lot of actors, we're working on our craft, we're working on our instrument, and also supporting ourselves with a day job until we get that next gig. In fact, it wasn't really until COVID and I started streaming a lot of network television that I became acquainted with the brilliance of Michael Schur. And I'm sorry that I hadn't before that, because his writing just encompasses everything. It's hilarious and poignant at the same time. So, there's that. But I will say that sometimes not knowing a show that well can work to my advantage, because I came onto this set a little less intimidated than I might have otherwise had I been an avid, fan, rather. I wasn't as starstruck, I should say. And the cast wasn't all that warm. They were cordial, But I don't hold that against them in any way. They need to do what they need to do to get to be focused and to relax. And if that just means hanging out with their friends, hanging out with each other, that's cool. They go through a lot of co-stars and guest stars, and sometimes striking up a conversation with a stranger can be taxing. I mean, maybe not for everybody, but everybody's different, and they just needed to do what they needed to do. And for me, for my part, we were in and out pretty quickly, I have to say, because it's a very well-oiled machine, that production. But, I hung out with a woman who played my assistant, whose character's name was Carol. And we just talked about the mundane kinds of things like, I don't know, hair color, whatever. But that's what we did. So that was fine. And it's funny that you asked about Retta in particular, because if there was anybody who was just maybe out and out rude, it might have been Retta. And I don't remember exactly the encounter. I don't know if I tried to say hello or strike up a conversation, but it seems like she might have abruptly just turned and walked away. But again, I don't hold that against her. That's not only is it her character, but it's kind of her brand. So again, people do what they need to do, especially in that position. So I can't ever take that personally. My scene was mostly with Aubrey Plaza and Billy Eichner. And it was also mostly reaction shots. And they gave me so much to work with. Aubrey's classic deadpan face and Billy's enthusiasm and his drive to just get ahead to the head of the line. It was pretty hilarious. And it was a lot of fun to shoot that scene.
Oh my gosh, okay, so many things in there that I want to respond to. Number one, yeah, it is far away from LA. I think I said 45 minutes when I was explaining the location earlier in the episode, but that is like if there's literally no traffic and you're speeding. You know what I mean? So I'm sure everywhere is like an hour and a half. Yeah, it's not awful to not have seen the show, especially at this time. Like nowadays, if you haven't seen a show with all of our streaming and all the resources that we have, okay, like maybe we need to work a little harder. But with this case, I just don't feel like that was really available to us all the time, because streaming was just not what it is, and Parks and Rec wasn't even streaming, until after I think it aired fully. So it's hard sometimes if you don't have cable, if you don't pay for cable or have TiVo or whatever the fuck that was. So yeah, I totally get that. And yeah, like you said, totally, like not being intimidated and maybe just going in for what your role is not always a bad thing. Sometimes if you have too much information, it's like you think too hard about it in a way. So I totally understand that. Yeah, that's a bummer to hear about Retta. I haven't heard that about her. So, I do want to, obviously we know that everybody has their own experience on the show. And this was, Rebecca's experience. So this is not to say that, and like you said, there was no, ill will or hard feelings or whatever. I do wonder, and I've heard this from people before, I do wonder if the fact that they're on location was weird. But not weird. It's not an excuse by any means, but like sometimes location throws the production off. So I don't know if there was something going on with that, or, I don't want to make excuses for her, obviously. So if that was your experience, that was your experience. And I'm really glad that you shared and were open about that, because like you said, everyone has their days. So it really could have been that. I see what you mean about maybe Donna's brand, but I haven't heard that about Retta, so I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad that you shared it, and the fact that there was facial expressions from Aubrey and Billy Eichner that you could have so much to play with, was really nice. And it's not, I mean, I guess you didn't have your scenes with Retta, so that's nice. But yeah, we will discuss, and by we, I mean me and Maddie. But yeah, everyone has their experiences, and this is, just what happened in your history. So I'm glad to have heard that. I'm not going to cut it. Okay. I know that's what everyone's thinking. Why did she air that? Because it was your truth at that time. Okay, let's move on.
Of course, Nick Offerman directed that episode. And as you may know, when they're shooting a scene, they have the camera on the stars first before they turn around and then have it on the co-stars. And before we turned around, Nick came over to talk to me. And of course, a TV set is just, well, any set is absolute chaos. You know, everybody's milling around between takes, setting up, walking around, going to craft service, whatever. But Nick walked over to me and introduced himself very quietly. And the only direction he gave me was to stand a little bit to my right. And it's just funny when I think about that, because it was such a beautiful, seemingly intimate moment. It was his way of welcoming me, but in a really subtle, offbeat, Nick Offerman kind of way. And I always appreciated him taking that time just to say it to me quietly rather than trying to say it loudly above all the mayhem.
Yay, I love hearing that. We've only heard good things about Nick Offerman. I'm sure he has his days as well. But the fact that he was directing, was able to come over to you and have a little moment with you really makes a difference, I think, because he was the leader that day of the episode. So I'm glad to hear that. Okay, love Nick Offerman so much. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to meet him one day. One day. Maybe I'll never meet him, but that would be fun. Okay, let us move on to the things that Rebecca is working on now.
As far as self-promotion goes, well, I think we all know that the industry has taken sort of a nosedive. Work is a little scarce. Auditions are few and far between. I still go out, but not as much as I used to. So that means that during this time, I have had to pivot and lean into my work as a teaching artist, which has paid off, especially this week. I just found out that I am a recipient of the Sony Pictures Teaching Artist Innovation Award and Grant. I had to write it down so I would get the name right. That was all through the Entertainment Fund, which is an excellent organization that supports not only actors, but all kinds of artists in the industry. But this is for a curriculum in storytelling that I've been developing over time. I use my work with yoga and body work. I use improvisation technique, meaning theater games and space work. And I also use writing prompts and research so that we develop stories, either personal narratives or sometimes stories about historic figures or unsung heroes, people that we don't know about, but we should. And we develop these scenes and put them on stage. And what I have found through this work is that, and these are not necessarily for actors. This is for the general public, but it's a way of the participants experiencing self-discovery, self-awareness, self-confidence. And because theater is a process of working together, they also develop community, empathy, and an understanding of each other. The workshop is called Every Body Tells a Story, because we all have one, and check it out. I'm going to grow more of a presence as time goes on. Also, upcoming, if you're a Titanic enthusiast, the weekend of the 11th through the 14th, which is the anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic. Some of us who were in the film, yes, I was in the film. I shot it almost 30 years ago. My title was Mother at Stern. If you look up Titanic, it'll all be over soon. I appear saying my line, it'll all be over soon. Anyway, some of us are joining together at the Queen Mary, on the Queen Mary in Long Beach, reading from our journals, from our experience working on Titanic. There, of course, will be a lot of other Titanic talks and activities going on. But my friend Alexandra Boyd, who played First Class Woman, made a documentary a couple of years ago called Ship of Dreams, where she interviews all things, people who are what we call Titaniacs, as well as cast members like me, reading from our journals. So if you're interested at all, it'll be a fun weekend. Again, April 11th through the 14th. And other than that, I did shoot a Netflix episode of a series that hasn't been released yet. I discovered they're still in post-production. Hope it is released and dropped soon, but I signed an NDA, so there's not a lot I can say about it. But I will say it's starring Will Ferrell. It was a blast to shoot, and I can't wait to see it because it was another fun role, small but fun. And other than that, I do have a minimal social media presence, but if you look hard enough, you can find me. Just make sure that you get the second L in the name Klingler. My name is Rebecca Klingler. I think I'm credited as Klinger on this episode of Parks and Rec. But thanks so much for this opportunity. It was really fun to revisit that time, and I really enjoy your podcast. Keep up the good work.
Oh my God, you are so nice, Rebecca. I love this so much. You're so perfect. Oh my God. You're doing so much. Wow. All of that. I'm so glad. I know it's hard for actors to talk about themselves. And oh my gosh, yeah. I just needed to look up the name because even I did it, which was awful. And I'm so sorry, Rebecca. Please forgive me. But yeah, okay. It says Rebecca Klingler on IMDb, but on the Parks and Rec, it says as Rebecca Klinger. What the F? I never understood that either when they say as and then they put their name. You know what I mean? Their real name. So whatever. But your name is Rebecca Klingler, and I apologize for getting that incorrect. Thank you so much for the kind words. Oh my gosh, congratulations on the award. That is so exciting. Is there going to be a ceremony? I'll ask all of this in an email maybe. And secondly, yeah, that Titanic, oh my God, that is so cool. I cannot believe that. I mean, I can because it's great. But yeah, I've been to the Queen Mary. Back when I lived in LA for like 4 years, a long time ago. And I think it was like one of my last weeks or something in LA, and I went to the Queen Mary with my mom. And oh my gosh, so fun. Loved it. It's a really cool ship, and definitely worth visiting. So if you've never been there, or if you have been there and you like it, audience, you should definitely go, especially if it's April 11th to the 14th, to see the Titaniacs. I love that. I've never heard that name. Oh my gosh, I learn something new every day. So perfect. Oh my God, I love that. And then you have the Netflix show. Oh my gosh, that's very exciting. Yes. Once it comes out, please let me know what it is, and I'll post it in our show notes as well, or I'll post about it too. The fact that it's with Will Ferrell, I can tell it's going to be great already. But yes, I absolutely understand signing the NDA and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I'll have to find your the link to Rebecca's teaching and everything as well, so that we can post about that too. If anyone's looking for acting classes, yoga, all that kind of stuff, it sounds really cool. So I'll definitely post about that. I absolutely understand. I mean, that's one of the things I feel like we do as actors, is to have something going on so that you are still pursuing your art and passion and creativity, if you will. I mean, why do you think I'm doing this podcast? Because I love it so much, A. And B, it really fills my creative juice. I mean, when I'm not doing acting or theater or, music or whatever. So I absolutely relate to that. And I think that it's really great to kind of pivot, but also still do what you're doing. And yeah, I mean, that's no small feat, booking the Netflix show with Will Ferrell. Hello. I know you think it's small, but it's not to me. So I'm just saying. Oh my God, so exciting. Thank you so much for sharing all of those details with me. I love to hear it all. All of it. Not just the good stuff. Okay, because it's all good, really, as far as, like, informative. Every story is a story. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I think we have one more from you. Let me play this one.
That scene is probably one of my favorites on my current reel. I still use it because I love it so much. But I will say, and you don't have to use this if you don't want to. I totally understand. For a long time, when I watched that scene and I thought about that day and about that time in my life, all I could see was the puffiness of my face and how I looked a little bloated. My suit looked a little tight. And at that time, I was losing my sister. She was dying of pancreatic cancer, and she was gone in 6 months. And when I looked at that for a long time, when I watched that scene, that was all I could think about, because I remember I was drinking a lot at the time. Not a lot, but a lot for me. I was drinking maybe a beer or a cocktail every night, and I could see it showing up in my face. And it took me a while to get beyond that. And now I can watch the scene and I thoroughly enjoy it. And I'm so glad that I did it. And now I can sort of watch it and think of my sister in a fun kind of way. She did get to see it before she died, funnily enough. I just remember she watched it and she was in her kind of chemo brain stupor, and she was just holding nothing back. And she said, "I don't get it." That was her response. But, she was an English teacher, not a big TV watcher.
Wow. Oh my God. That is beautiful. Oh my gosh. So surreal. Thank you so much for sharing. Honestly, that is, again, why I do this too, because it's the little things that I would never know and that fascinate me. This is something that I want to hear about. Like in the prompts for the audience, you guys, when I ask the guest stars, I'm like, is there anything else that you would like to share with us? And then in parentheses, I'm like, yes, I want to hear it, because I think a lot of people who see that question, they're like, no, there's nothing interesting. I'm cool. Like, you can just move on. I think it is interesting, and I think it is profound, and especially this bit of a note that I would never have thought to ask about. I'm so glad you shared, and I'm so glad that people can maybe relate to this feeling. I know that feeling, when you look at this something, whether it's like a song or a book or a picture or whatever, and you think of the time in your life that you are going through, and it might not be a good time, and so that's all you associate it with. And I absolutely, even if it wasn't grief, it could also just be that you didn't like the way you looked in general. And I get that all of the times when I'm submitting my auditions, even. I'm just like, fuck, my double chin is showing. You know what I mean? Like, you just really pick up on that. And I know it doesn't necessarily help all the time. But I will say I did not notice any bloatedness. I did not notice any thing that you were noticing, because I wasn't going through that experience, obviously, but I just wanted to compliment you and say that I thought you looked great and did great, and that's why I reached out. So but yeah, oh my gosh, what a beautiful overcoming, I guess. Grief is always with you, so you're always looking at what you didn't have when you watch that scene, but I think that it's really special that you shared that, because that means so much. And yeah, I could even see you not wanting to put it on your reel because you were thinking about maybe the experience that you had with the cast or whatever. So like, I absolutely understand that. And I think that's acceptable. I think that's normal. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that you use it now. And I'm glad that you can look at it now with a little bit of light. Like I said, grief is just always with you. So it's not as if it's over, that you will just forget about that when you look at that scene. But I think that's really special. And I'm so glad that you shared. So I'm keeping it. Rebecca, I'm keeping it. So thank you so much. I keep it all. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. I loved all of those. Yeah, man, these guest stars have been hitting me hard, I feel, the last couple of episodes we've had, in the prom episode and everything. You guys are so great. So, so great. And it just adds so much to our podcast that I would never have gotten if it was just me up here on the mic. So thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So Craig joins the competition now as a sommelier, or as a sommelier in training, if you will. Ben has this weird family business, and Ron literally does not want to hear it, but Ben keeps venting. This is when we're walking through the vineyard. Side note, there are signs on the wooden posts with the names of various crew members, which I love when they do that. I love when they have, actual meta people, like a meta moment where they have people on the actual show that are real. So that's fun. Apparently, they've sold the lake house, the family lake house, without confronting or talking about it with Ben, which really bumps him out. And you can tell there's something deeper going on than just this lake house. Not that there needs to be anything deeper going on, but you can tell that something's going on. So I'm glad that we get to that a little bit later. So blueberry wine is now served, and at first Ron doesn't like it because he sees that it's blueberry and it's like a crazy blue color, but he sees the alcohol content and it's like, okay, we're good. 4 bottles, please. Side note, the server of the blueberry wine, so cute, has actually been on Parks before serving Ron as a bartender in season 4, Win, Lose, or Draw, which was the finale episode where Leslie wins the city council seat. And they have a bar at the hotel where they have the watch party, and she's serving Ron his drink, his scotch, or whatever, his whiskey, whatever it is. Here, and I just thought that was awesome that they brought her back. Her name is Aubin Philibom. I think I pronounced that right. I'm sure I pronounced it incorrectly the first time too, and I'm so sorry. But she sent in voice memos the last time she was on, which is so fun. I did email her to ask if she had any specific memories of the blueberry wine episode, this one, but I haven't heard back from her yet. But I did go through my old emails, and one of her emails says, my second time on the PNR set, Parks and Rec set, I played a bartender again, or server. I served wine to Nick and Adam, and they gave me the same name, Dana, so that I would be considered recurring. It was the casting director doing me a solid by having them change the name to Dana. That is so cool. What a lovely moment. Because, yeah, you having a recurring role is better than just than a day player role. So that's really cool. I like that a lot. So now Leslie is like, okay, all we have to do is go to Indianapolis to convince Chip McCapp to get his shit together and come to play for us. But she's trying to work through her sickness, which is no good. Andy says he pukes in the car all the time, so don't even worry about it. Because Leslie puked. So now we're at the pharmacy, and Leslie says you can get 2 candies to Andy, which is so funny, again, with the Benjamin Button, like, aging backwards of Andy, childish behavior, but we love it. So Leslie goes to the pharmacy counter and is like, listen, look, I have the flu, and I need the stuff. The Mariah needs to sing tonight stuff, which I love that line. And the pharmacist is like, well, it doesn't seem like it. And then we see a pregnancy test. And oh my gosh, a crazy moment. They did cut this part of this pharmacist moment, but it's in the original air. Usually when it's in a deleted scene, I'll play it for you guys. But it's in the air now on Peacock, so you can see it on Peacock. It's public now, if you will. When she says that it could be aseptic meningitis, and that would mean she only has an hour to live, and she's like, "So sorry, it's my first day. I don't know." Side note, I did look that up, aseptic meningitis. It's an inflammation of the meninges. Oh my gosh, did I pronounce that right? Doctors tell me. They are the brain's spinal cord lining, and it's typically caused by viruses, especially enteroviruses, up to 90% of cases, rather than bacteria. Symptoms include fever, severe headache, and stiff neck. It is usually a self-limiting, milder condition with recovery expected within 7 to 10 days. So it is serious. It sounds like, with the symptoms of a fever and severe headache, it is flu-like, cold-like kind of vibes, but it's not fatal. At least that's what the internet says, so please somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But it is her first day, so we'll give her a little bit of a pass. But the pregnancy test, Womb There It Is back. Oh my gosh, remember Womb There It Is was the pregnancy test that Mona Lisa Saperstein took when we thought that she was pregnant with Tom's baby. This pharmacist is played by the actor Teresa Riley, and her character name is Kitty Goodbye. Kitty first name, Goodbye last name. Oh my gosh, amazing. She was so funny. I love it. She looks like she does a lot of voiceover, a lot of fun video games, one of which is called Rango. She also wrote Junior League of Superheroes. She's been in House of Lies. Good Game, I think, is one as well that I had written down. And I actually did talk to Teresa. We've been exchanging emails, so she'll be definitely sending in voice memos, but she couldn't get them in time, so I'm going to add them into the next episode. But thank you, Teresa, for your exchanging of emails, and hopefully we'll hear from you. Then we see this huge gummy bear candy that counts as 1. That's hilarious. So now Ben and Ron are walking in the vineyard. Ben is very drunk and needs to rant. I love that their mouths are blue because of the wine, and I do wonder how that worked. Like, did they have some sort of blue drink? I'm sure, obviously they had a blue drink, but was that dyeing their mouths, or did makeup come over and, like, I don't know, put some food dye in their mouths? Let's see. Ben is talking about how he's mad at his parents, and Ron is just, like, very over it. So back at the competition, we see all the differences. Also, like, differences in all of the competitors, if you will. We cut to Xander, then we cut to April, then we cut to Craig. Xander, this was the portion where I was like, oh my God, shut up. You're not all that. When he's explaining, like, this is a vintage, blah, 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 and I'm like, oh my God. He played that part so well. It looks like Craig does at least know some stuff. It does seem like he is at least knowledgeable on if he were to be Tom's Bistro sommelier. So that's nice, I guess. Like we see later, he'll have to cool it, but he does know some stuff. So now we're at Chip McCapp's studio, and Leslie comes out of the bathroom smiling, meaning she took her bathroom test, her pregnancy test. So I think we know what's going down in Babytown. All right, Leslie wants to call Ben, but Ben is so drunk and he can't talk to Leslie because he's drunk, and he drops his phone in the mud. It's a whole mess, which sucks because I know that Leslie wants to talk to him about this, and I know Ben would want to talk to her, but so Ben is like, Leslie sounded weird. I want to walk home. I just want to leave. So this must not be far if it's in walking distance. I mean, I would go so far as to say that they could walk maybe 3 miles tops. Ron could probably walk a long time. He's an outdoorsy, could be outside all the time. So I don't know. I'm thinking that this is not very far. So let's see. Oh yeah, I love this Adam Scott moment of climbing over the fence. Oh my gosh, that is such a good Adam Scott moment. It's one of the top where he's like, watch out for that fence. He just struggles over that fence. So Tom is nervous because Xander is talking to this French man, this French restaurateur. I believe this was also cut where Donna says she picked up French Canadian when she was dating a Montreal expo. I don't remember her saying that's where she caught French. I just remember, maybe it wasn't cut, I don't know. But I feel like I remember the original air, her going up to this guy and speaking French and us all being like, oh my God, what a great character thing that she speaks French. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like there's no explanation. Terrence Montreux, by the way, is his name, which, again, so good. That name is brilliant. But he's the restaurateur that owns 12 restaurants. And he acts like he doesn't know the word thing. I love that. How you say thing. And Tom's all, don't act like you don't know the word thing. Terrence Montreux is played by Michael Rothhar, and he's a prominent theater director as well as an actor. He's been in a bunch of movies and TV shows. He was also in Modern Family. If you watch Modern Family, he's the one that Gloria gets mad at because the dog keeps barking, and we're pretty sure that she stole the dog after this encounter. And I just think his character is really great here, and I think I mean it seems very similar to where they have a status. His character is always like a hierarchy of like he's up here, you're down here kind of vibe, I feel, which is really funny. Side note, if I think in the Modern Family episode, this is the one where he's like, well, you have a bird or something too, to Gloria, and it's really just Gloria shouting Jay's name really loudly, and it sounds like an animal to this guy, which I thought that was really funny. I didn't see any contact information for him, so I'm really sad about that, but well done, sir, well done. So Craig recommends a red for steak, and this dude says perhaps a Riesling. And I feel like he should know that a Riesling would not be good with steak if you're one of the judges, you weirdo. What are you doing? And Craig's like, not if you're eating steak, you loon. That was funny. Because like I said, on this point, I do agree with Craig. This actor's name who plays the judge is played by Rod McCary, and his character name is Judge Ryan Letgo, which I think is funny. Or Rain Let Go. Maybe it's Rain Let Go, like Let Go of the Reins. He's known for The Flintstones in 1994, Night Demons 2, and he's been in a lot of other movies and TV shows as well. I think he reminds me of Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World. I just feel like his hair and his face kind of like seem similar, like they could be brothers. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, yeah. This is where we get to Chip McCapp, like one of the biggest Parks moments in Parks history lore. I'll bring the girls, you bring the beer, and the troops will bring the freedom. That is so classic. I don't know who wrote this. Honestly, I could see Bo Burnham like contributing to this in a way. I don't know how they came up with that character. I mean, I know how they came up with that character, but I don't know the specifics of like who wrote that portion of it. So funny. So we now see that Chip is actually a huge asshole because he yells at his team to get lunch stacks, which I think is funny because they probably can't say Lunchable because of some sort of naming rights, if you will, or copyright or whatever. But he's like, cheese on top or no one gets paid, and everyone is scrambling, and you're like, oh my God, this guy's kind of a dick. And Chip says the only reason he's not doing the Unity concert is because he has a previous engagement. So he throws this plate at his dad, who's the manager, who made the lunch stack for him. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want you to play at my concert anymore. Gross. But I do love, he's just so funny. He's like, anticipate my needs. Like, your job is not that hard. Chip's dad, Skip, which I think is really funny. So we've got Chip the son and Skip the dad. Chip and Skip. Skip is played by Scott Michael Morgan, and he was so good. Oh my gosh, great work. He's been in a ton of things. Rutherford Falls, which, has Andy from The Office, Ed Helms, American Crime Story, Why Women Kill, so many things. And it looks like he has some upcoming projects as well, so we'll have to keep up to date with that. Back at the sommelier testing, the next Indiana master sommelier is, in fact, Xander, which we kind of saw coming, sadly. Donna, though, spills wine on this restaurateur fella to buy Tom some time to talk to Xander. And this wine pour is not subtle whatsoever. I love that she just goes up and pours the wine on him. Like, it's not even, she doesn't even try to bump into him or anything. She just kind of goes up and pours the wine on him. Like, oops. I actually really do quote this line that Tom has when he says, Tom's Bistro is going to be the best, quite possibly trillest. A new restaurant in town. I love the word trill. I think it's really weird and unique, and I would like to incorporate it into more of my vocabulary sentences. But sadly, turns out Xander has already accepted this offer for the other guy, and it's literally not possible to pay him what he's getting paid. Side note, sommeliers do get paid a lot. The test is insane because you also have to do different regions. You have to do all of these different things in order to become a sommelier. I don't believe that it's actually a test like this. I do think that this is a competition to get placement so that you can be a little bit more competitive in your job search. But you do have to take the test. It's not just going around to these judges and being like, this goes with this, this goes with this. I have a friend of mine who was studying the sommelier test, and actually Jay Jackson, who plays Perd, at the time we interviewed him years ago now, he was studying for the sommelier test, and he had a map that he showed us where it was you have to study the different regions, the different soils that vineyards and grapes can be in, and how the different vines work and all that kind of stuff, which is wild to think about because when most people, when they drink wine, don't really think about that. So yeah, it's a huge deal, and one of the reasons why they get paid so much is because they're at these fancy ass restaurants that are very expensive. So, and I guess because the training is insane. So anyway, Ron and Ben are on their way home walking, and we get to see Eagleton Ron again. He's back. Perfect timing for him to come back. Oh my God. I love this moment too of are you a ghost? And he's like, am I? Ron Dunn. Oh my God. I love Sam Elliott. Classic. Oh my God. Then we get to Chip McCapp saying that his previous engagement is just a haircut. Come on, Chip. You can reschedule that, you fancy weirdo. Oh my God. So Leslie makes this impassioned appeal, very intense, oh my gosh, you have to be here. We love you. The region needs you, not just Pawnee. And Chip insults them and says dirty hicks. And he's laughing about it. He's not even taking this seriously at all. And he shoots a paintball gun at his dad. He's like, if I want to do that, I'm going to do that. No. Oh my God, Chip McCapp. But the writing here is so good. This is one of those moments when I'm like, oh my God, the writing of how awful this person is so good. To just have a paintball gun shot at you. I can't imagine. That's why I wanted to talk to the actor who plays Skip, because I'm like, oh my God, can you imagine that being your day at work, being shot by a paintball gun? And I'm sure it's not as painful. At least I hope it would not be. I hope they had safety things going on, because that is really painful from people that tell me about paintballing, that if you're shot at close proximity, it's not soft. It's hard and it's painful. So I'm sure they did something to make it less painful, but oh my God, it was so good. So now we've kind of given up here. We're realizing that he's a dick. So Andy and Leslie leave. They go to a diner. She thinks Andy understands what's going on because he makes the movement about what we think is belly, like a belly movement, when a woman is pregnant. But he totally doesn't know what's going on, and she thinks that he thinks that she's going to adopt a dog. I agree with him though that she was great, and she did say everything she needed to say, and I think not only, was she good with the impassioned speech and stuff, but like when someone's being a dick to you and insulting your town and your people and you essentially, like, you do stand up to them. I think that was fine for her to do that. I love that he says, "I thought you were going to punch that kid's lights out." It's such a cute moment though with Andy. Like, it is a deep moment, even though he totally doesn't know what's going on, but he does say exactly what she needed to hear right now. Like, you and Ben can handle anything. And it really helps Leslie get through this. So Leslie suggests talking to Scott Tanner, who is the lead singer of Land Ho, because he lives in Pawnee, and they could beg him to play. So we could try that. So funny that Andy thinks Scott Tanner is like the gateway to Bob Dylan. Oh my God. And I love that he still thinks she's getting a dog. Like, just forgot that huge life moment that we just had. And then he goes back to thinking she's getting a dog. Oh my God. So back with Ron, and then the other Ron and Ben. Ben wants to vent to the new Ron, and he says, new Ron says the ancient Wamapoke people believed that the blueberry wine was called Matapiqua, and it has mystical powers. I looked it up, and Matapiqua is not real. I Googled it. It's so funny. I Googled it, and the only articles come up are about Parks and Rec. So that is not real, but, that's not to say Native Americans didn't have things like this, believing that food or, certain things have spiritual powers, and because that is real, but Matapiqua is not. I love that line, though, like, "You're hanging on to that anger for dear life. Let's role play." So we learn now that Craig actually wants the job at Tom's Bistro. He's been trying to prove it the whole day. And it would just be part-time. And Tom is like, "You'd have to prove that you can bring it down a notch because you're literally insane, essentially." And Andy thinks that the broken Scantron machine is the way to reunite Land Ho. Oh my God. He's like, "I'm going to do this the way I got a perfect score on the SAT test. Broken Scantron machine." Oh dear. Leslie gets sick again in this guy's front yard. That's no good. I also love when they are trying to show him the little poster thing. It keeps folding up, and he's like, could you just hold that down here?" And it totally ruins the epic moment that he was about to have. Scott Tanner is, of course, played by Jeff Tweedy of the amazing band Wilco. So cool that they have him. They're actually playing in Indiana in April, which is a really fun and ironic thing. Not really ironic, because if you're a band, you're going to be on tour. But I'm just saying, it's a nice ironic thing for me. According to an article I found, which I'll post in the show notes, the Parks people just kind of cold called him. Like, they discovered parallels between the character they were casting and him. And I just wanted to read some of this article. So this is Jeff Tweedy saying these words, okay? He said, "I got word through my management that I was being asked if I wanted to be on Parks and Recreation and play sort of a semi-autobiographical character. When I discussed this with the writers, they said they kept talking about Scott Tanner in the writer's room like a Jeff Tweedy type character or a Midwestern washed-up rock star. And somebody said, well, why don't we just go ahead and ask Jeff? At the time, I was immediately going to say no because my wife was just beginning the process of getting diagnosed with cancer and starting her treatment. I didn't want to leave at that particular moment, but she insisted. She was adamant that I couldn't say no because she loved the show so much and wanted me to be a part of it. That was the context for me. I was hesitant to be gone at all at the moment, but she pushed me to accept. Oh my God. Well done, Scott Tanner's wife. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. I'm so glad you made him do it. Also, the song he sings as Land Ho becomes a Wilco song, which is so cool. I did not realize that. Side note, in the article, it also said that he got to name the band. Like, he came up with the band Land Ho and added the exclamation point at the end. That was his idea. Isn't that so cool? Oh my God. I love this. It was a vulture.com article, so I will definitely post that. There is more in the article, so please take the time to read that if you like to. But that's the pertinent information that I found, which is so cool. So at this point, you think he's going to say something meaningful and deep when he has this line. I'm going to tell you what I tell everyone who wants us to reunite. No. This is the flyer moment that is rolled up and won't come out. Oh my gosh, so funny. And yeah, Scott Tanner's like, look, this looks awesome. I'm really happy for you that you're doing this, but the band doesn't play anymore. Leslie's, throwing up, of course, and feeling sick. And he's like, still drunk from last night. I've been there. Jeff Tweedy did a great job at being just very relatable. And he did, I feel like, I hate to say this, I don't know if this is rude, but a lot of sports people are on commercials now. And athletes, football players that I've seen in particular are on all these commercials now. And when they say their lines, it's clear that they memorize their lines and they're not putting any of themselves into it. It doesn't feel authentic or real or anything. It just feel like they're reciting lines. This is what I was told to say. And it's still funny, and most of the time it's a comedic commercial anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you can act, whatever. But I just feel like Jeff Tweedy does a really good job of being an actor. You know what I mean? And maybe he is just being himself. Maybe he's not really acting at all. He's just kind of saying the lines as himself. But even that is better than just reciting robotically kind of what you were told to say. So I think he did a really good job. So the song that Andy sings that says is a Land Ho song, apparently. The catapult me into the sun and burn, baby, burn. I don't believe that was a real song at first. I think that was just written for this episode of the show, because I looked it up and there's a Reddit thread that someone wrote that said someone wrote a full song based on this. There is a song out there. It's by a band called Almost All Purpose. It's on the streaming music services, so I really don't know. I think they made it after the fact, though. So who's to say? Because Parks and Rec has such talent that they absolutely could have just. Mark Rivers is amazing. I don't know if it was him or whatever. He's the one that writes all the Mouse Rat songs, but the writers' crew in general is so talented that they could have absolutely written that line for this episode and just kind of left it, which is what I'm leading toward thinking, and then someone was just inspired. So if anyone knows, or if you're that band Almost All Purpose, let me know how that came to be. So Scott Tanner's kid comes in and recognizes Andy from, being Johnny Karate at birthday parties. I believe this kid in the show is called, his actor name is played by Tyler Nunes. His character name was Kevin. Great job, kid. I love that he's dancing around. He's really into playing the chop, 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 kick, kick, chop, chop, chop. It's called Karate Chop Master. Oh my God, harmonies! Oh, I love when Scott Tanner does the harmonies for that. I love when Andy is so oblivious of I really admire you, but you're doing the song wrong. He has no, what's the word? Filter, I guess, of nope, that's not right. You did it wrong. So now Craig is being tested as a sommelier to see if he could really take the job at Tom's Bistro, and they all give him crazy orders. Oh my gosh, people actually do this. So as a side job, I work at a winery on the weekends every now and again, and they always ask for ice cubes. I don't know if they know it dilutes the wine. I think they just think it makes it cold. I don't think they understand. And sometimes I tell them, not often, but sometimes I'm trying to explain it a little bit more. But no, they want to do it. They just want it. And I remember I think when I was first started drinking beer, I did put ice in my beer. And then I realized or heard somewhere that that's not, you're not getting the beer. You're just getting a watered down version. So I stopped doing that. But these wine people do not do that. And there are definitely people who order, red wine with fish and white wine with steak and all the things that don't really go together, but you got to be tested for that stuff because it does happen. This is not just, a ruse. Oh my gosh, this was a great deleted line. I really don't think this was in the original air. We learned the conference room is not soundproof because Craig goes in there to scream about their orders, and Donna says she takes private calls in there. And she thought that they were, soundproofed, but it's not. And April knows all about the car dealership in Tampa, whatever that means. Wow, that's a great, great detail. So Craig holds it together in front of the customers, which is really what you need, honestly. If he can have a moment to just go in the back and scream. They'll have to soundproof the wine cellar, as Tom says, but I think it could work. So now Ben is doing a spiritual chant situation with both Rons, and Pawnee Ron is so over it. I love that the baby snow owl is Ben's spirit animal. Oh my gosh. And looks like new Ron has a hawk that comes to him, and that's his spirit animal. I don't think I know what my spirit animal is. I've always thought it was a cat, but because I just feel like I really resonate with the cat. But I don't know. I really need to think about that a little bit more. I'm just not sure. I want to know what it is. Okay, so let's see. Eagleton Ron suggests burning the check that he was given for his lake house. And Pawnee Ron is like, don't do that. That is money, okay? But either way, it doesn't really help. I think even if he had the money, it wouldn't have helped him. You know what I mean? It's not about the money, as we learn a little bit later. So Scott Tanner agrees to play the Unity concert, and they've sold 500 tickets. Oh my God, that is so much. 500 tickets is insane, dude. Like, that is a true festival, okay? I feel like any other event that Pawnee would have had, that is, like, undoable. But this is amazing that they got this many people. Scott Tanner has made it happen for them. And what a great pivot that could happen in one episode. The idea that this could happen so fast is such a testament to like how far we've come in the season, I think, both in real life and in the show, because I feel like we would have taken like a whole maybe 5-episode arc to figure out what are we going to do with this, or maybe even 2 episodes, I don't know, but definitely not 1, to figure out how we're going to move forward from this. So I think this is a really cool, like, okay, we're getting shit done. You know what I mean? We've got this is running like a well-oiled machine. We now have Andy, and we're just working on this, level that we did not have before. So, lovely. Okay, so Eagleton Ron has a little tiny smart car. I love it. They're all kind of piled in there going home. Ben still doesn't feel better, but I think it helped in its own way to like talk about it and vent about it. That's very important. And also Ben, he's not going to stop being angry in a day. Like, this is a big life situation. It's a big family situation. It takes some time to like diffuse and process. Like, give yourself a break a little bit about this. Also, being drunk doesn't help at all to process and really feel your feelings because you don't know what's what when you're drunk. But I wanted him to just kind of understand, okay, you're not going to feel better right now, buddy. It's okay. But anyway, Pawnee Ron kind of accidentally helps by just being himself. Who knows if that was on purpose or not to tell Ben. I think it wasn't. I think he just says his wise things that he always does. But he says seeing the kids puts things in perspective. And after a long day, oh my gosh, can't speak today. After a long day, it's always nice to go home to the wife and kids and see my kids and get a new lease on life, essentially. And that really gets Ben thinking, which is great writing, obviously, of Ben discovering the reason that he's so upset about the childhood house being sold is because he always pictured bringing his kids to that lake house and sharing his childhood memories with them, but also them creating their own childhood memories. And it's just like that's the deeper portion that we weren't talking about before, that Ben hadn't really come to that conclusion yet of like, what, this is why I'm so upset, because I wanted, the cycle to continue, essentially. And it's so wonderful because he says that I want to start to Leslie. He says, I want to start a family with you. I want to start our family and I want to do it now. Great work, writing crew. Great work with this line. Well, buddy, I got some great news for you, or good news for you, I think is the exact line. And then the episode ends and it's perfect. So can't wait to see where we're going to come next with that. But yeah, we've been waiting to see, I think, what was going on. To be honest with you, I didn't really see Leslie getting pregnant. I don't know. It just wasn't really like a thought in my mind. Like, she hasn't really talked about family as much, I don't think. I think, sure, that's the like next logical step, but I didn't really see it coming, I don't feel. I'd love to know if anyone else did, but I didn't. So anyways, oh my gosh, thank you so much to everyone that sent in voice memos. Steve, Tom, Rebecca Klingler, thank you so much. I just loved it so much, and I always love hearing from you guys. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, do all the things. Check us out on all the social medias, and just try your best to do your best. And hope that you all have a lovely day, week, and month ahead, and however you're celebrating the winter time. And I hope we don't get any more snow. Okay, I'll talk to you guys soon. Please let me know if you have any other questions, and I can't wait to see you on the next one when we talk about babies. Ooh, babies, plural, maybe, question mark? Okay, bye.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.